My name is Matt Hall and I lead the mining and energy sector for GetWet Solutions. We recently completed a very interesting project for one of the top tier mining companies in Australia. The location of this project was about 85 kilometres north of Newman, in a place commonly referred to as the Pilbara region. There were definitely some really cool aspects to this project. I mean, for starters, 2 million litre water bladder, that's a lot of water. Two main objectives that we set out to achieve on this project was to, one, significantly increase the water storage capability that was supporting their dust suppression program. And the other key objective was to, at the same time, significantly increase the flow rate from the water bladder tanks into their water trucks. We were able to set this up as a high flow rate system, essentially getting up to about 400 litres a second. Now, to put that into perspective, the water trucks were previously taking around about 37 minutes to fill. That's a 70,000 litre water truck. We were able to bring that time down to around about 5 minutes. Some of the main benefits of using water bladder tanks over traditional hard-sided tanks is pad preparation. No excavation permits are typically required to install a bladder. There's no requirement for working at heights, scaffolding, cranes, all the things that you would typically need with a traditional hard-sided tank. No requirement for a concrete pad, so you don't have the construction aspect to it. Typically, it's very quick to install a water bladder. Once we arrive on site, if the pad preparation is complete, we can have the bladder rolled out and be pumping into it within a few short hours. The bladder tanks are very robust. In fact, we support them with a 10-year warranty, and we have an expectation of 20 years life out of each water bladder tank. They're very well suited to Australian conditions. They're UV protected. They operate in conditions up to 70 degrees Celsius. So in our opinion, the water bladder tanks are actually more robust than traditional style tanks. So that's one of the main benefits, is efficiency of time. Cost, obviously, is a major benefit as well. The cost comparison to a bladder tank over a traditional tank, especially in the outback, in the mining areas. In terms of wildlife, because they're a sealed system, there's no danger of wildlife falling into the water bladder tanks and drowning like can happen with traditional turkey nest style storage system. Some of the variations on the water bladder tanks are determined by the different size of tanks, the different volume of water that's required to be pumped out of the tank, the different volume of water that's required to be pumped into the tank. So we can change the different valves, the different flanges, depending on what the end requirement is. One of the other great benefits to water bladder tanks is that we can design and then build a water bladder tank to suit the space that you have to work with. One of the early discussions we try and have with the client is to try and understand exactly what the end result is they're trying to achieve from the bladder. Are they looking for a high flow rate bladder system that can deliver 400 litres a second to a pump? Maybe the high flow rate's not important, but simply they're just looking for a large volume and maybe a low flow rate. So we'll design the bladder and the flange and the manifold and the piping system according to what it is they're trying to achieve at the end of the day. The water bladder tanks also come with a level monitoring system that will monitor the level in the water bladders to make sure that they don't get overfilled. And we have various different ways of switching the pumps on and off. We can set them to a high-low level, so at a certain low level, the pump will turn on and start filling the bladder. At a certain high level, the pump will kick off and stop filling the water bladder. We have a range of different ways to do that. Some of the systems that we use in remote locations, we actually solar powered. So if you're in a location that's very remote and you don't have personnel around at all times, we can set it up basically autonomous so that the level monitoring is taking care of itself. At GetWet, we do nose-to-tail service. We don't just sell you the bladder and send it to site. We sit down and work out the design of all of the pipe work, whether the pipeline's going to come from several hundred feet away to several kilometres away. We have certified poly welding crews. We have in-house design where we can sit down and design flow rates over distance, friction loss, pump rates, different types of actuator valves, cut-off valves, whether it's coming out of a turkey's nest or a bore. We can help you overcome any type of water storage challenge that you might have on site. So whether you have too much water, not enough water, or you want to get water from A to B, give GetWet Solutions a call.